Have you ever wondered what it would take to disappear completely and to start a brand new life? Well, what you'll need to do is both easier and harder than you might have thought. If you're trying to disappear beyond the reach of your old life, one of your best sources of information is someone who actually conducts missing persons investigations. Darren Gillio, chief investigator of the private firm North American Investigations, claimed to Grunge, "Staying off the grid and living a normal life takes a lot of planning, knowledge, and commitment, which can be very difficult for most people. The foremost factor that determines the likelihood of success is commitment, adhering to a lifetime of alienation from everyone you've ever known." Gillio says that one of the biggest mistakes people make is remaining in or resuming contact with these people, adding, "A very successful tactic to track people is through their family, friends, significant others, work associates, and contacts. These are all potential leads to track an individual. It is very difficult to cut off anyone important in your life." This appears to be the case even when lives are on the line, with Gillio claiming that when people leave witness protection, it's usually because they miss their family. While it depends on your circumstances for disappearing, Jason Hansen, a former CIA agent and author of Spy Secrets That Can Save Your Life, offers a bit of seemingly counterintuitive advice that may actually be pretty brilliant. Hansen claims that if you want to escape a marriage that you feel trapped in, one thing you'll probably want to do is tell someone exactly what you're doing. Hansen explains that by sending a letter or email to your significant other, handing in your resignation at work, and letting close friends or family members know what's going on, these actions will most likely prevent others from reporting you as missing.
Don't leave me now, Harper. You're my good heart.
If law enforcement thinks you may have been kidnapped, they're going to start looking, which is exactly what you don't want if you're trying to disappear. Letting someone know that you're undertaking a premeditated disappearance of your own free will goes a long way in actually getting away without leaving telltale footprints. While a cabin in the remote wilderness might be tempting, Gillio claims, unless you are a mountain man or woman with a lot of training and can be totally self-sufficient in the woods, you will find that it is not an easy task to remain anonymous. So that being said, how do you figure out where you'll eventually settle down? A successful disappearance starts with research. Frank Ahern, the co-author of How to Disappear, earns his living by helping people erase their digital footprint. He told Wired that anyone using the internet to search for their new home needs to follow a few guidelines. For starters, don't search from home computers or other devices. Instead, buy a cheap laptop with cache. Don't link it to any identifying phone numbers or email addresses, and search on public Wi-Fi. But at the same time, create a fake trail. Start researching apartments, jobs, and local groups in a city, state, or country completely separate from your actual target location. And be sure to do this on your devices that others will use to trace your history. According to Ahern, leaving a fake trail is just as important as not leaving a real one. So, where should you go? Hansen claims that your ideal destination should be a small conservative city with a population of 25,000 to 50,000 residents. No matter how your political beliefs lean, Hansen explains that smaller, more conservative-leaning cities and towns are less likely to ask questions. But it's equally important to blend in and pass for a local. But if you pick a town that's too small, you'll stand out like a sore thumb.
He always was an oddball. Him and his whole family. Real oddball.
So, it's really not about distance, but about finding a place where no previous connections to your life reside. Gillio claims, remaining in a location where you have any ties, or even going to a familiar place that you have been previously, can be a way of being tracked. The late Gerald Schur, founder of the Witness Protection Program, figured out witness protection placements by asking people where they wanted to go. He explained to CNN, they'd say, "I always wanted to go to Hawaii," or that they had family in Texas or Florida. That's 3 places that they are not going. Because when you tell me you want to go to Hawaii, I know you have told all your friends that. AirTags were developed by Apple to help consumers find their house and car keys more easily. But according to Eva Galperin, director of cybersecurity at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, they can also be a powerful tool for an abusive partner. Galperin told the Washington Post, "I don't expect products to be perfect the moment they hit the market, but I don't think they would have made the choices that they did if they had consulted even a single expert in intimate partner abuse." So what can you do to make sure you're not being tracked? It's tricky, because even though an iPhone can detect an AirTag, there are ways around that. And if you're using an Android phone, you'll require a third-party app from the Google Play Store. While it's true that these methods can ping AirTags, Jeffrey Fowler, technology columnist for The Washington Post, discovered that it wasn't as easy to hear or find as advertised. Galperin also warned Wired that Bluetooth scanners can also fail to detect a tracker. So keep an eye on new tech developments that'll allow you to detect trackers more easily, and thoroughly search your vehicle and possessions, or maybe just opt for the bus. Hotels and motels are fine for a while, but it won't be long before you'll want to find something a little more permanent and private. Setting yourself up in an affordable apartment might seem like the reasonable thing to do, but Jacent Hansen claims that plan might need some rethinking. Hansen says that once you get to your destination city or town, you're going to want to skip the big corporate-owned complexes and find a small mom-and-pop rental operation. Look for someone renting out half of their duplex, a townhouse, or that second house they bought as an investment property. Seek a small company. Why?
Those property management companies, cash is king. When they see that cashier's check, they're happy to take it.
Since these housing operations won't often ask questions, let you pay with cash, and you'll likely be able to skip the background check, your information will stay off any databases that might be used to look for you. Social media can be a pretty normal part of everyday life, but for anyone on the run, it can ruin all of their prep work. While it's almost impossible to completely eliminate your online presence, Darren Gilio explained to Grunge that not creating more footprints would start to limit newer data. You would need to revert back to the time where you do not rely on any technology, social media, or online accounts. Jacent Hansen also claimed that minimizing your online presence starts with deleting all your social media accounts. But what about all those email newsletters, online marketplaces, and other websites you've given information to? Well, there are services available that will take care of erasing all that data for you. And depending on your circumstances, the cost might be worth it. That said, don't forget about your more innocuous accounts. When the Huffington Post looked at some of the accounts people used to gain information about their ex-partners, they pointed to the likes of Spotify, Venmo, Goodreads, and Pinterest. There's an old saying that cash is king, and when it comes time for you to vanish, that's definitely true. Since using a credit card sends up a giant red flag, even when you're on the move, Jacent Hansen says that building up an adequate store of cash will take some planning ahead. But this plan will differ depending on your circumstances. Hansen claims to have worked with people who've done everything from setting aside whatever money they can afford each week to people selling their houses for cash. Hansen also advises that if your secret cash stash is in your house, to never keep it in the primary bedroom. That will be the first place anyone will look if they think you're up to something. The best place is difficult to get to. A storage space requiring a ladder, the bottom of a stack of innocuously labeled boxes, or a crawl space in the attic. It's easy to think that carrying around a massive wad of cash might just be asking for trouble. So, fortunately, there's an easy and untraceable way to ensure you're holding liquid assets when you start out on Life 2.0. Jacent Hansen shares that he keeps gold and silver on hand, with a caveat.
It is much easier to move coins, to be able to barter and have people understand with coins than it is with a gold bar.
Hansen claims that gold coins are not only more readily tradable than gold bars, but they come in different sizes and amounts. A gold coin is discreet, fits in your pocket, and Hansen claims that they're so important, he recommends having them in a bug-out bag. If you're running from your old life and managed to save enough to turn cash into gold and silver coins, there's a good chance you'll make money on the deal. According to experts interviewed by CBS, gold and silver are great long-term investments with massive potential. It's no secret that CCTV and security cameras are pretty much everywhere. Combine that with facial recognition software, and you've got one of the biggest obstacles for those hoping to disappear. According to Darren Gilio, when people get caught, it can be commonly due to being recognized despite changes to their appearance, or being caught on camera. So, how much do you need to change your appearance? And how do you keep cameras from identifying you? In 2014, the BBC reported that it actually didn't take much. Just some hair dye, funky glasses, and maybe a hat. Those small changes also interfered with facial recognition software that relied on so-called intensity signatures to map faces. But The Guardian reported in 2020 that things have gotten a little more complicated. Protest groups have discovered it's possible to confuse cameras by wearing extreme makeup, reminiscent of the bright dazzle camouflage patterns that were once painted on battleships. But since that's not always practical, other ideas have emerged, from plastic masks to clothing that disrupts recognition software. Bottom line, do some research and avoid areas with a high density of cameras. Humans are creatures of habit. According to Giglio, sticking to a regular routine is one of the most common mistakes that leads others to uncover a person's new life.
How did you know to find us here?
10 a.m. Every Tuesday morning, you and I met here.
If you love yoga, the people looking for you are going to know that. So, according to Hansen, you can't go into a yoga studio ever again. It's the same for coffee shops and game stores and craft stores. Whatever your go-to hangout is, that's exactly where someone will look for you. Frank Ahern told Wired that one of his most challenging cases locating an individual was only possible due to the man's car obsession, saying, "I could not find him. It's like he just walked off the grid. He had no family. It was like he was a ghost." When Ahern learned of his love for muscle cars, Ahern was able to track him down via a single magazine subscription. Cell phones are an integral part of modern life, and a lot of people are only ever an arm's length away from theirs. But if you're trying to disappear, you'd better learn to let yours go. Cell phones pick up a shocking amount of information about us, from passwords and search queries to location data. Your phone also collects and stores data when location services are deactivated, and even when the phone is turned off. So staying anonymous will take a little extra work. And that's if you absolutely need a phone, because you're better off going without. According to Jacent Hansen, you can safely buy a burner phone so long as you follow a few guidelines. First, don't activate it yourself. That process requires inputting some information, so your better option is asking the store attendant to do it for you. When they ask you about associating other information to the phone, politely refuse. Also, Hansen suggests that when they ask you about your area code for the phone number, provide an area code that's nowhere near where you're going to live. Completely disappearing from your old life also means you'll need to give up your car. From licenses and registration to insurance, there's a lot of documentation. While older classic cars are generally no-goes, new cars are absolutely off-limits. Giglio claims that one of the most common ways that people are traced is through technology, and cars with modern bells and whistles are no exception. When Wired looked at all the ways that a vehicle collects information in 2023, they found that location and destination data is just the beginning. Cars record everything from seatbelt settings to biometric data about those using them. Some are even equipped with facial recognition software, potentially great for preventing theft, but not for disappearing. Fortunately, there is a solution. Use public transportation.
Open your door!
Pay in cash, settle in a city with a good bus system, and maybe even buy that bicycle you've always wanted. If you share your life with a furry, feathery, or scaly BFF, giving them up might be the hardest part of leaving your old life, but it's actually entirely possible to take them with you. According to Lost Our Home, a nonprofit pet rescue organization, there are a number of options out there. In cases involving domestic violence, some places will put pets in protected foster care until you've settled down in your new life, while others will help in finding temporary accommodations that allow for pets. Lost Our Home also notes that if your case involves law enforcement issuing protection orders, there are many states that include pets in those orders. While someone else can track your pets through their microchips, the microchips can't be surgically removed from an animal, the information can be deleted. You can use the microchip lookup tool of the American Animal Hospital Association to see what information is available, and what happens next depends on the company that issued the microchip. If you're trying to vanish, delete the information associated with the microchip, and it'll also be deleted from the main database. There are few people who have the cash on hand to support themselves for the rest of their lives. So what to do in the meantime? According to Hansen, a private investigator can find out if you've given your approval to undergo a background check or work in fields that have national databases, like real estate. Fortunately, jobs that will allow you to support yourself and stay under the radar all have one thing in common: cash. Hansen also claims that some of the best industries to choose from are in food service and construction, but adds that whatever the job, it's fairly certain that it won't be something regular. To that end, the local newspaper in that town or city you've settled in is going to be invaluable. There's a wealth of possibilities in classified ads. Use that burner phone, use a fake name, and place an ad for a cash service, such as tree trimming, lawn maintenance, snow removal, painting, and junk removal. Or find some ads to answer. Hansen also claims that attending churches and community centers are other great methods. While your new life might be a day-to-day challenge, there are a ton of opportunities out there. Jacent Hansen says that the worst thing that you'll come face-to-face with once you've finally disappeared is loneliness. It's worth taking a good long look at all the things you'll never be able to do or see again, and it's usually stuff that many people take for granted.
You know, after Miami, can never get used to this damn cold.
Hansen says that it takes discipline to deal with extreme loneliness, but there are things you can do about it. The UK charity, Mind, has some invaluable advice on how to help people become more comfortable with being on their own. This includes daily self-care, learn a new craft you always wanted, exercise, pick up something like Tai Chi, or head out into nature for some long walks. Mind also claims that pulling the plug on things like social media, which you're already going to do if you're disappearing, can actually serve to make you feel less lonely and less likely to compare yourself to others. Sometimes distance is a good thing, and although it'll be hard, they say that in the long run, small changes and a lack of connectivity might be just what the doctor ordered. People manage to disappear without a trace all the time. In fact, it's so common in Japan, there is a dedicated word for these people, johatsu, and they have many reasons for disappearing. One 42-year-old johatsu told the BBC, "I got fed up with human relationships. I took a small suitcase and disappeared. I just kind of escaped." An entire industry has sprung up around the idea. These night-moving businesses report that some of their clients decide to do it to escape abusive home lives, or to flee shame brought on by losing a job, dropping out of school, or not carrying on the family business. This phenomenon has been around since the 1960s, and it's particularly easy to accomplish in Japan because of their strict privacy laws. Depending on your circumstances, it's entirely possible that even those in the US looking to escape an abusive family situation can get help. Operation Safe Escape is one of many organizations that will help survivors escape and stay safe. Other organizations, like the Milligan Foundation, will help with travel arrangements. For those in danger, these resources can be life-saving, especially since an average of 72% of homicides involve an intimate partner.